If this is true, then our country is in a lot of trouble.
We would have these trips, these special trips.
But he said my daddy takes the bodies to the grocery store and he grinds them up and puts it in the hamburger. And nobody ever knows it.
How can kids 6, 8, 10 years old be describing rituals that come from a book like the Book of the Dead? It's hard to get your mind around people being capable of this kind of evil.
This is Dan Bidondi of TruthRadioShow.com. I am honored to offer my listeners a 1-month free subscription to nystv.org. Subscribers will have access to thousands of NYC TV videos from spiritual warfare to biblical and occultic topics, banned from YouTube videos, and much more. Subscribe today on nystv.org and use the promo code DANTHEMAN and receive your first month free. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Warfare Wednesday. We are live. It is 8 p.m. Eastern here on the East Coast. So we're going to talk about prophecy in the news, revelation upon us. So, yeah, like Brian always says, you can't make this stuff up. Wait till you see the news we're going to talk about. We got so much stuff going on here. And, man, I tell you, we got John Pound is coming on this week on Friday. So, yeah, awesome stuff, man. We got David Carrico coming on. And so, anyway, welcome to Spiritual Warfare Wednesday, and it's Prophecy in the News, and it's going to be an awesome show here. So I want to thank ShakeandWakeRadio.com and BeforeIt'sNews.com for carrying the show and the awesome, amazing networks. And also, guys, the show tonight is brought to you by WattsLeather.com. Please check them out, WattsLeather.com. And so, guys, coming up Friday is Satan's New World Order and Spiritual Wickedness. This is going to be a hard-hitting show. Me, Brian, and John Pounders, we're going to triple team this show coming up Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern. Normally, yeah, we start at 10, but because I got obligations Friday night, so I'll be on. We'll be starting 11 p.m. Eastern, which will be live. So yeah, before you get going, guys, I just want to read off this verse because it's going to play a very significance to what we're going to talk about tonight. So 1 Thessalonians 5:3 says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction is coming upon them, as a travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." So, and as you can see, that's the picture of the global elite. And that's all the world's power right there in that one disgusting, vile building called the United Nations. I think that's the General Assembly room, whatever. But utterly disgusting, and it really is. And pure filth and everything else. And we're going to get into that. And this is going to tie also into the show Friday. So this show here is just like a build-up, a little taste of what you're going to see Friday. We're going to have John Pounders on. We're going to get a lot into Elon Musk, a lot about his pushing of these microchips and everything else. Could that be the mark of the beast? We don't know. We'll check that out. You know what I mean? But we got so much stuff to talk about. We're going to skip through some news and just talk about what's going on in the news. Because here's the thing with the Bible, right? No other doctrine in the world, no other religion, because we don't follow religion, no doctrine in the world could do this, right? See the scripture right here, the Bible, right? You want to know how it's true? You can open up a newspaper, read the news, and see what's going on in the world events, and it happens to match us, 110%. No errors, you know what I mean? So that being said, anyway, Brian, thank you for joining us again. Awesome co-host, Brian Reece. So what's up, Brian?
Not much, Dan. I'm glad to be here. It's going to be a really cool show, just talking about random news, and, it's not random. Like you said a minute ago, when I always say you just can't make this stuff up, there's some crazy stuff popping off. So I'm looking forward to talking about all this stuff. So it's going to be a really cool, jammed-packed Spiritual Warfare Wednesday. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. And we just, I think it was yesterday, we just like, all right, let's do a Spiritual Warfare Wednesday because it's not permanent. I mean, we just do it here and there, but I think it's starting to become permanent, man, because that's what we're talking about, man.
Yeah.
We call it runoffs. Basically, if we have a show on a Friday night, like usual, right, and we'll have more information that we couldn't bring up because of the time, and let's bring it home on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Or like this show here is a build up for Friday. You know what I mean? So it's awesome stuff, and I think Spiritual Warfare Wednesday is going to be becoming permanent. And a lot of people asking me, how come you don't do your news show no more? Well, I'm going to start the news again. I'm probably going to do the Monday night news, and if we don't do a Spiritual Warfare Wednesday, then I'll do it on Wednesday as well. Because here's the thing, right? And it took me all these years to realize this, right? With the news, right? It's the same stuff regurgitating for weeks on end. You know what I mean? Little bit of changes and whatever. But if you deliver one hard show once a week that would deliver what's going on, right now the whole world's talking about Twitter. You know what I mean? When in the world, the whole world revolved around a social media company. It's crazy, man. It really is. And but unfortunately, we have to cover the news, and that's people understand too. Because a lot of people say, "Well, just leave the news alone, cover this stuff." But the thing is, guys, you got to understand, you cannot know prophecy unless you know politics, unless you know what's going on in the world, because them two match hand in hand. You know what I mean? Politics and religion go hand in hand. Because if you don't know one, you don't know the other. You know what I mean? You have to mix the two. You know what I mean? Because it is politics that bring forth the Antichrist, politics that bring forth the false prophet, politics that brings forth their New World Order. You know what I mean? It's political power that do this, controlled by spiritual wickedness in high places. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah. So Brian, I'm done rambling here. So
no, you're good, Dan.
It's like amped up today.
Yeah. Man, I mean, where do you want to start at? Or it's just so much. I mean, we could talk about those poor people in North Carolina, with those power stations getting, obliterated. What's up with that, Dan? FBI involvement, all that.
Yeah, of course the FBI is involved in let me get that up, Carolina.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at it really deep, I'm pretty sure whenever I seen that, I said, man, are you kidding me? Because, I was like, come on now. And I don't know if I brought this up before. I brought it up in some other platforms and on Spiritual Warfare Friday. they just talked about it today on ABC News. Power being restored in North Carolina County affected by shooting. So I thought about that, and then when you do a little research on it, and it says Duke Energy. Duke Energy's.
They're blaming terrorist attacks for this.
Yeah, that's what they're. I think that's what the narrative is. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're reporting WRAL. I'm sorry, reward for up to $75,000 for information leading to the arrest of those responsible for the power grid attack, and the country is warned about terror attacks which could target U.S. infrastructure in certain groups days before the shooting that knocked out Morris County's power grid, leaving tens of thousands without heat or electricity. You know what I mean? Yeah, and before I say that, the FBI on Wednesday released a poster urging people to come forward with information about the target attacks on 2 power substations Saturday night that left 45,000 people docked for cold. Here's the thing, all right? I'm going to say it right out. If anybody thinks that terrorists are going to just go to North Carolina, what's the motive? What's the purpose? That's not going to do them any good. Well, because they knock people's power out. What is that going to do? I smell FBI all over this, and this is a false flag. That's exactly what I'm going to call it right here. Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. Yeah, they were announcing. Yes, they were. They were announcing that Biden was like, oh, they could target an infrastructure. Of course, they'll blame Russia or some kind of a terrorist group, whatever the case. But what's the point? What would what would it serve Putin to say, all right, I'm going to pick North Carolina and knock their power out? What in the world would that even suit them for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this smells like an FBI false flag.
Well, I want to point this out too, Dan. It talks about Duke Energy, right?
Yeah.
So Duke Energy is the same. I don't know if a lot of our listeners, if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of places in the United States that have these purple lights. Just the night lights. They're all over the interstate and everything, exits and stuff. They're just literally lights that are turning purple, and they say it's just a defect. And I've looked into that company. I'm not trying to bash them, but there is a Microsoft, a lot of other companies that are tied to Duke Energy.
Yep.
And I thought it was interesting. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's not a coincidence that Duke Energy is on here reporting on this. I get it. But there's something to it. I mean, there has to be. And I just thought I'd point that out. I don't know if I just want to chime in, say I think there is something to it. I don't know. What do you think, Dan? Because it just seems weird to me. I mean, they don't like those lights. They're purple, right? They look like literally a blue lamp, like a blue light, and they're a nuisance, right? So, and they said they're defective, but they keep popping up everywhere. You can't have a bunch of defective lights. I just think it's interesting that they're really talking about Duke Energy. I'm not bashing Duke Energy. It's nothing to do with that. I'm just saying in general, it's kind of ironic, but
that's what they look like there.
Yeah, those blue lights. Here's what cracked me up. It city by city, it was like you had thought the light poles or the lights would be so-called, to do with taxes or your local government or local cities would take care of, but it's not that. It's not that. Like they're well contracted out, and they don't have control over it. I thought it was weird, and it all ties back to Duke Energy, and they spilled on a bunch of news outlets saying that they was just defected, but I thought it was kind of a wild narrative.
Yeah,
why would you keep putting up defective lights?
Yeah. And
it's not
North Carolina right here.
Yeah, there you go. And what was the exact place? Was it called What was that? The county in North Carolina that got hit by that? Wasn't it? It starts with a C. My brain is turning off here. It'll have to come back to me in a minute. But whatever that county is that got hit, is it Moore County? I think it's Moore County, maybe, but it was a small town. But anyways, if you type it in, Dan, I could bring it up on for the show, but if you want me to. But I noticed something really bizarre about this town and the proximity of where it was at. And did you know that not too far from that town that there it is? Was it called Carthage County, Carthage City, the one that has the electricity out. not too far in all circumference of that county and that little city, there is literally 4 different military bases of some shape or form. And I mean, I could show it up on Google Earth, but if you want me to, I don't know if you want to show it. Thought it was kind of interesting. But there is 4 facilities that are not too far, about 20, some of them 30 miles away. Yeah, North Carolina. Yeah.
Oh, got the wrong one.
I'm sorry. Yeah, forgive me. But I've got you off there. But me just blambered on here. But I could show it. I just thought it was interesting that there was 4 different military bases close proximity within a 20 to 30 mile radius from that. From all this carnage that happened to those power stations. I'm just throwing it out there. Just a what if kind of narrative.
And when the FBI is all over something, that's what I learned about doing news reporting over all these years and investigating things like that and going out to places. And every time the FBI is involved, every time they're the ones calling the shots, it's 99% of the time is they had some prior knowledge to it, or they let it happen, or they orchestrated it themselves. So, and I'm smelling a big false flag there, man, and all over the place. Because why, why would it benefit any terrorists to do this? Let's just pick North Carolina. We're going to knock out 45,000 people. And the other thing could be, too, is the negligence of the power company, like you said, Duke Energy here. They report that Wednesday morning that all substation equipment damage from the vandalism has been fully repaired. So it could be the negligence of Duke Energy and they're blaming terrorists. It could be a number of things, guys. But, yeah, and the FBI seeking information. The shooting.
I thought it was interesting. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, too. They were saying they didn't know how long it was going to take to come back on.
Yeah.
When it first happened. And I was like, wow, this could be weeks. But they literally, thank God, it seems like that they're having power stored. So thank God, because, kids, elderly, women, and men, everybody that can't defend themselves and all that. And then if they barely have enough to keep their electricity on as it is, there might not be a lot of people that have warm clothes. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
That was kind of heartbreaking to know there's people, that type of situation for just negligent. This is just insane on the part of somebody went around and done that. But somebody had to know exactly what they was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to hit those certain, I think they hit strategic areas on the power station. I think it was kind of interesting how that all come into play. But one thing I wanted to bring out too, Dan, this is a theory of mine, throw it out here to the broadcast. Isn't it ironic that, like even back 2 years ago, they was telling people not to go inside or stay inside for certain reasons. And at nighttime, don't go out between 10 and 5. And then, you hear about these rolling blackouts, all these different electrical malfunctionings. You got internet issues, all these different communication problems, cell phones issues here lately and all this stuff. And I just thought it was interesting. Here's my theory, Dan. Wouldn't it be so easy just to shut down power over top of a major area while they fly something over? Just saying. There wouldn't be nobody with, majority of people would be like in a panic. Their cell phones are not charged. They can't video. The majority of the population would be just closed off, and then they fly stuff over. I'm just throwing something out, because there's all this UFO stuff going on. And it just kind of dawned. That's just the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, I wonder why they would do that, and then it's just weird that they got the power back on that quick with that type of damage, with those type of weaponry that tore those power stations down. So they done a heck of something happened to be able to get that all fixed. They must have sent a fleet of people down there, So I just want to throw it out there. It's crazy, man.
So I guess I'm having problems with I just turned it up, so hopefully they can hear me now. So let me know, guys, if you can hear me now in the chat room. And I don't know what's going on. It's not the microphone. It's a brand new microphone. It's something to do with OBS, a program. I don't know what it is, but I cranked it up, so so hopefully everybody can hear me. So I apologize about that. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. And then the reason why the feds would do this is the reason why they would do this, because they want to keep you in fear And the thing is they have FEMA orders, right, to shut down power and all that. Basically during crisis, right? That FEMA FEMA has executive orders. They call them FEMA executive orders to be able to shut power grids down and control things. You know what I mean? Shut supermarkets down and everything else. So. That could be the case too. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why the government would do this more than the terrorist group. Again, I can see if it's terrorist world, let's shut down Manhattan. Let's shut down the Big Apple. You know what I mean? Let's shut down Los Angeles, California. That would benefit the terrorists. You know what I mean? But shutting down just a random place in North Carolina by shooting it could be anything. It could be people messing around, or it could be the FBI doing this thing. We don't know. You know what I mean? And but the thing is, this is just to put fear into people. Oh, we told you, there's going to be terrorists shutting things down. And I don't think a terrorist is going to go around shooting Transformers. I think they'll do it in, hacking it, whatever the case, but we don't know. You know what I mean? So it's the thing I wanted to bring up too here in the news, talk about spiritual and everything else, guys. So this is weird. So Cambridge dean, the dean was like the principal, but the dean of the Cambridge University defends sermon about Jesus being in the trans body, and sorry for the language, but vaginal side wound blasted as heresy. So the sermon likened wound in Jesus. Remember he was stabbed in the side, pierced in the side with the dagger, whatever it was. So Jesus is it says side to a vagina that congregates uncomfortable and in tears. So this was on Tucker Carlson talking about this, and there was a dean of University of Cambridge in the UK. So came to the defense of junior research fellow whose sermon last Sunday about Jesus Christ having a trans body reported left outraged congregants in tears. So you're seeing a major attack. I mean, this is disgusting, man. And it's like in Christ's simultaneously masculine and feminine body in these works. And the body of Christ in these works suggests that the body of all bodies, then his body is also the trans body, Heath said. So this guy, Heath, who's a doctorate in theology, he's got a degree in theology, I don't know how, but was supervised by former Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams, who also claimed that in one of the medieval paintings he displays to the congregation, the spear wound in Jesus' side takes on a decidedly vaginal appearance, and another, he pointed out how the blood from his side flows to his groin. So, Archbishop here, a former Archbishop, I guess that's why he's a former now, or whatever the case, but man, that's disgusting. You know what I mean? And that's the picture right there. So they're going to base this off of somebody's art. But again, this is like just attack on, Savior. That's what it is.
Amen.
And we just did a show too. It was the last week or the week before. I keep forgetting. But debunking that Jesus and Lucifer are the same person. You know what I mean? And we put that to rest big time. Me, you, and Trey Boy.
Yeah. It's just, and it just blows my mind that they won't. They don't do this to anybody else, like any other, so-called deity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't do it to anything else.
Oh, there's a picture right there.
It blows my mind that they do this disgusting stuff, and, to make an image of, first off, draw an image of Jesus and then such blasphemy statements, you know what I mean? And making all this perverse filth that goes along with it. It's depressing. It's disgusting and depressing. And it just blows my mind. I'm not trying to bring this up, but they throw up Baphomet pictures and Baphomet stuff everywhere, but they don't never deface that.
Yeah.
So they add and grow to it. You know what I mean? They so it's they don't. It's really heartbreaking, really.
And of course, it's from the LGBTQ activists. You know what I mean? It was a sermon to please them. So I don't know how you get a vagina in that picture. Yeah, I know you guys can see this here, but I don't even want to zoom up. But that's just a wound right there. But still, this is a second commandment violation just to even make this in the first place. But the Catholic Church, they like to, they don't have a second commandment. They don't have an idolatry commandment in their version. But yeah, this is sickening. Yeah, I mean, and then say, it's a vagina. And, what does that sound like to you? Teaching about an androgynous God. Doesn't that sound like a little about Kabbalism there?
Yeah, it's just hard to even look at it, It really is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at, Dan.
Yep.
I mean, we're at, so much deception on all fronts. Sick and perverse, bending and twisting of things, and it's a crazy realm that we live in. Crazy world,
Yeah.
It's
Oh, it is.
we just gotta pray. Keep praying, It's just yeah.
And a couple more things here. Then Brian's got some stuff on UFOs, and it just came out in the news. But Kirk Cameron, the star of those movies Left Behind. And by the way, guys, those are just good movies. That's all they are. It's based off the fictitious John Nelson Darby's pre-tribulation rapture stuff. But good movies, absolutely. But that's about exactly what they are. But regardless, Kirk Cameron is denied Story Hour slot in public libraries for his new book, faith-based book for kids. Right. So the actor writer has not gotten a single yes from 50 public libraries his publisher has contacted so far. Messaging does not align, he was told. So basically, so he wants to read this to kids, right? 50 different libraries said no, right? But it's okay to have a transgender with their junk hanging out from the skirt, read in front of the kids with the legs wide open, and they're teaching kids that you could be a magic tooth fairy drag queen, you know what I mean? That's okay. That's widely accepted, but this is, again, the prophecy in the news. This is, the Bible says that this stuff would happen, you know what I mean? And when the disgust and stuff that's going on in the filth, you know what I mean? That's okay. If I want to go in the library to say I'm going to teach pedophilia, right? Oh, yeah, they're widely accepted because it's LGBTQ. But yeah, you put anything faith-based, forget it, you know what I mean? It's horrible, you know what I mean? There was exclusive a new children's book out that celebrates family, faith, and biblical wisdom. Actor and writer Kirk Cameron cannot reach scores of American children or their families in many U.S. cities and public library system because over 50 public libraries have either outright rejected him or not responded to his request on his behalf. And as a story hour program for kids and parents connected to new book releases and activity that many libraries typically present to patrons and communities. But if he was out there teaching, like, all right, well, you kids could, cut your genitals off. Oh, yeah, he'd be in all 50 libraries. And I'm not even exaggerating with that. This is disgusting. What are your thoughts on that, brother? You know what I mean? I can see
I mean, I'm still on the... I'm still disgusted over the Jesus photo over here, Now we're taking this in. So it's just... What really drives me insane, it's like people eat this up. Even people that are so-called, if they, whatever, if they say that they follow Jesus or whatever, they still eat this, they consume this this devilish filth. And it's like, it's ultimately programming at the end of the day. And they let their souls go when they start, what's the word? They ingest it, they inhale it and all this other stuff, and they consume it. And then they just slap a Jesus label on it and say, well, he'll forgive me. I still enjoy it though. I still like watching all this garbage, and then one day saying I'm against it, the next day saying they're for it, and it's just sad, man. This whole topic here, it's just, it seems like everything's just upside down.
Yeah, it is.
Like the wind used to blow a different way, but then, you got these people, you got these other people out here that are talking about these spiritual new worlds, and there's this, this is a alternate universal world, and we're going through the great ascension phase, and that's why that, you got some of these people saying that, it's a new age movement of Christianity is what it is. They say, well, this is why we're holding on to the values of Jesus, and we have to wait on the ascension process, and we're going to be transported miraculously to the new world. And that's why this world, we went through an alternate dimension. And this is why this is why they make up all kinds of stuff. Like, we're sealed, but they will say this, we accidentally got merged into this alternate reality, which causes all this. That's why when we look at everything, it's just going into, chaos. So they really do. There's a big movement with that, right, Dan?
Yeah.
And it's just insane. So that's what I'm saying. This is what we're talking about. They'll consume it, look at it, say it's good, say it's bad, turn around and flip flop, at the drop of a dime, and then turn around and spin a different narrative, and they're totally getting away from the scriptures and the living word of God. And that's just where we're at. I mean, it's just, and then if you listen to people like that, before you know it, if you're not guarded your heart, you will consume it. It will consume you. You'll believe it, and you'll be dancing in the wrong camp. So it's just it's crazy, Dan.
And I don't know if is Candace Cameron his wife or something. I don't know if she's related.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't know.
Well, it says Candace Cameron Burr is hitting back at her haters after she found herself in hot water for defending traditional marriage. So, I guess earlier this week we reported, they did here, Hollywood star Candace Cameron Burr, Full House and Full House fame was receiving backlash after saying that her new network, Great American Family, will be focused on stories that are about traditional marriage. And Cameron Burr, who is chief executive officer of GAF Network earlier this year, is now fighting back her haters after she refused to back down. Good. Don't back down to the cancel culture, And here's the thing, too, that I hope some of these blokes are listening. Those woke blokes, I call them. You're a bunch of jokes, okay? Nobody's intimidated by you, and we'll stand up against you, plain and simple. And any company that caves, once you go woke, you go broke. Plain and simple. So we've seen that over with Disney, everything else. When these cancel cultures, when the woke mafia, they attack Hobby Lobby, right? Hobby Lobby, the stocks went through the roof, right? They attacked Chick-fil-A, right? What happened? Chick-fil-A, I mean, even where I live, you can't even get in line half the time because the cars are out to the street. You know what I mean? When these woke people attack something, okay, the people do the opposite. And the thing is, here's the thing. If you don't like it, I don't care if you're the rainbow group, right? God makes the rules of marriage. He says, one man, one woman, you don't like it, too damn bad. And I'll tell you right to your face, and I don't care about your little rainbow crap. You know what I mean? You try telling God that. Oh, it's my right to have same-sex marriage. Yeah, good luck with that. That's all I have to say. God makes the rules. You don't like it, too damn bad. Take it up with him. And good luck, by the way. Good luck doing that. I dare you. Go talk to God and say, yo, I have a right to be gay and go marry my brother. You know what I mean? Like, I'll shut up because of YouTube, yeah. But yeah, I don't, me, if somebody's gay, right, I have to say this all the time. If somebody's gay, it's none of my business, all right? And I don't judge people for it. And it's none of my business. What you do behind your door, I don't want to know. Trust me, I do not want to know, right? And just like much as you don't want to know what me and my wife do, you know what I mean? That should be private business, you know what I mean? But when you go out publicizing it, when you indoctrinate kids, this is where I get really ticked off, you know what I mean? Because it goes after the kids. You guys groom children. Don't say you don't because you do. You got these disgusting trash bag pedophiles who sit in libraries and men wearing skirts with no underwear with their junk hanging out purposely in front of kids. And come to find out these guys are sex offenders, right? Yeah, you're going to have some screws loose in your head. Then telling kids it's okay if you want to marry your best... Tommy, if you want to marry your best friend Jim, go for it. No, the Bible says no. Plain and simple. You don't like it, too damn bad. I'm not backing down from you because the only person I have to face at the end of the day is my Heavenly Father, and I could give a rat's butt, okay, what you think or have to say. Plain and simple. And even if they shut me down, I don't care. We'll go on Rumble. I don't care. We'll find somewhere to broadcast. But, you know what I mean? We are not backing down. And good for Candace Cameron. She needs to fire back and, like, literally flip them the bread. Tell them, yeah, go straight to hell. And excuse the language, guys. But that's exactly what she should say because it's exactly where they're going. You know what I mean? This stuff just boils my blood to no end. Again, what you do behind your closed doors, hey, none of my business. I don't want to hear it. All right, plain and simple. You know what I mean? That's your deal to deal with God. Okay, I'm not your judge, but don't rub it down on our society because she wants to have a program with traditional marriage. You know what I mean? Too bad. It's disgusting. Every channel you turn on now, you got two guys kissing, right? And they got these drug commercials out there, right? I don't want to get too much into that, but it shows two men have kissing, right? And a lot of these diseases relate to these homosexual sex. And it's all been admitted on the TV. You know what I mean? Oh, it's safe to have sex with this drug or something like that. And but it doesn't prevent AIDS. You know what I mean? This is where all these diseases come from. Then they want to introduce this to kids. You know what I mean? Again, it makes me, oh man, it just like gets me boiling, man. I tell you. Sorry, Brian.
Well, yeah. I mean, Yeah, those Left Behind films and everything. Yeah, they, like you said before, they's good for entertainment, I guess. But now it's like, it's a totally different, when you go back and even if you reference those movies with the rapture and all that stuff incorporated in, and that's something we don't believe in, And, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bash them or anything. I know that they're trying, like you said, traditional values and stuff that they're trying to do for this show, but if there's a bunch of backlash, I pray that the evil will be subdued, to keep it away. Hopefully they'll have a decent program, but yeah, it just like I said earlier, there's people trying to do good things, and there's some people that are, and I'm just praying for everybody. There's a lot of filth in every corner. We're just pray for all parties, even though you're supposed to pray for your enemy.
Yeah.
So it's just pray for all parties, because it's just getting out of hand. It's all just getting out of hand, and then just Jesus would, I think about this all the time. Jesus would not want us to be, we have to have righteous anger and being upset, but but we have to pray, like diligently pray every day, because this stuff is just, it seems like it's coming against us, and then, like you said, through commercials, media, and everything. But there's a point where you just have to, like, if we had the opportunity to, somehow change the media, if we owned a broadcast network of some shape or form that was, a multi-million-dollar, thing, it'd be nice to have some good material and good content on 24/7, but that's not the case of this world. But yeah, Dan, I'm not kidding you, man. That there's just all kinds of stuff going on, man. Like, and it just blows my mind that they're pushing the alien agenda. Remember I was telling you on the phone the other day on broadcast, because I don't watch live television of any shape or form. I'll go back and reference articles and stuff like that, but I could not believe that that's what they push on all networks now. Like, UFOs, just the stuff that you got done talking about, because I don't want to bring it back up because of, YouTube or whatever, but just the stuff you talked about, and then pushing the alien agenda. It blows my mind, man. Like, I didn't realize it was that bad with the news anchors pushing the alien agenda every time you turn around and bring it up and just laugh about it, right? So they're getting your mind engaged, and they're tuning you in to that so-called frequency of understanding. And yeah, man, it's crazy. I got, this is off the subject, Dan, off the subject. I got something to throw out at you. I'm going to take you somewhere. This is totally off the cuff. Speaking of tuning and programming, I got to throw this out here. We won't touch base. We won't talk about it too long. Sure. Do you remember back in 1995 when they, no joke, I remember I was in school, and in 1995, they told everybody to tune in, even the teachers, the principals, and everybody. What happened in 1995 that it blows my mind that we watched, we stopped what we was doing, our work and everything, and you get a lot of different testimonies and people talk about this. They still remember that day of 1995 with the O.J. Simpson and his little white Bronco, and he driving like 20 miles an hour down the street. That's what it looked like, and it blew my mind, man. Was that some type of like massive tuning in to get ready for like? I'm not going to say, I'm going to be real careful what I say, but to program. You kind of get what I mean? Yeah. What's your input on that? Because it was just so, they was enticed to make us watch it. And I'll never forget that. I'm like, why are we watching this crap?
Oh, yeah, it was like hours, I think, right? They're just driving slow on the highway. And they had a mile of police behind them.
Yeah, and I didn't understand it. Then they slowly, pulled him into the driveway, and then there you go. After the so-called high pursuit chase, I just thought that was some kind of mind control narrative. Because if you look real quick, I won't get much into it, but if you look real quick, 1995, if you go back and look at some books and stuff, they claim the singularity. That's when the so-called AI started taking over in 1995. Singularity, all that stuff. No joke. And I thought it was interesting whenever I started contemplating in the back of my head, I was thinking about just a memory of 1995. I just thought I'd throw it out there since we was talking about programs and media and everything. I thought it was interesting. if there's anything to it. Just throwing it out there.
No, yeah, it was. I remember that was like all over the news for weeks, and it was kind of funny too because as I was like my second year of pro wrestling, right, and I remember going to a show, and we did like back 3 shows in a row or something like that. Me and a guy, we were driving a ring truck, right, we're tied, right, so we're going up the highway, right, we seen this bus pulled over the side of the highway. It said free OJ, right, so we pulled over. We thought it was free orange juice.
Oh my goodness!
But it was a bunch of protesters. We was like, "Where's the orange juice?" And it's like, "Oh no, it's a free OJ Simpson." Like, oh. Okay.
Oh my goodness, Dan! You're kidding me, right? That's hilarious because I was literally. That's funny. You know what? I'm not making this stuff up, guys. I wasn't even planning on this, but Dan, I gotta show this real quick. There was a news article that I looked at earlier. It was talking about OJ, like the orange juice, and it just reminded me. You got me cracking up, man. Yeah, orange juice future limit up on global supply squeeze. Breakfast is about to get more expensive, y'all. Come on now, that's what the article is. It's talking about literally a shortage on orange juice and oranges, right? And talking about in the narrative of what it is, Dan. I'll just speak about it real quick. I won't show it, but it's talking about the Hurricane Ian's devastation. Yes, I understand, but that's what they're blaming it on. I'm just letting you know. They're just kind of random. Thought I was speaking of OJ.
Yeah. That was funny. Free OJ. I'm like, oh, free orange juice.
Yeah, almost pull over. Yeah.
But yeah, that was that went on for weeks, man, and months actually for the court thing and everything else, and yeah, that was crazy, man. And back then, man, it was like when something happened, it was like. It was in the news for weeks on end and sometimes months. Now today, it's like, all right, somebody got shot, and unfortunately, a school got shot up. Yeah, 3 days later, it's no news, Yeah. Probably the next day sometime, but man, it's crazy.
It's insane. I just want to throw it out there. Yeah. I thought that was kind of going along with the it's a little off, but it reminds me of manipulation of media and stuff and television.
What about this weird stuff, man? The Balasenka, I hope I pronounce. Actually, I don't care if I pronounce it right because they're a bunch of pedos. The Balasenka designer Demna finally addresses the BDSM ad scandal and apologizes. So, yeah. So after weeks of silence, Balasenka's controversial creative director Demna has finally addressed the BDSM ad scandal torched online, incorporating with children with bondage gear and a legend of normalization of sexual fetishization of abuse of children. So this is a Georgian fashion designer who goes only by the first name, posted a lengthy statement on Instagram vowing to engage with children and protective organizations. But he says, I want to apologize for the wrong artistic choice of concept for the gifting campaign with the kids. I take my responsibility. It was inappropriate to have kids promote objects that had nothing to do with them, the 41-year-old Ray. So this is a big, they make clothing, okay, all kinds of stuff, right? And sorry for the pictures, guys, but these are the pictures here, right? Posting pictures right now. This I don't know what, I really don't know what BDSM is. I imagine something to do with bondage or whatever, some disgusting sex stuff, right? Which I'm guessing because you can see the handcuffs and all the whips and all that stuff over there. But they're promoting the stuff with kids in the picture. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And sexual toys and everything with kids in the picture. And she's got a teddy bear with the bondage stuff attached to it. Dressed in it, I mean. And yeah, it's disgusting.
It's depressing.
So, yeah.
It is depressing.
Then, of course, the CEO, they got major backlash. I mean, people were throwing away their the clothes they have, the designer clothes from him. People were like burning and everything on a protest. So, of course, he comes out. And here's the thing, too. Would he have apologized, right? Would he apologize if nobody said nothing? Yeah, and so, of course, he's got to come out and apologize. So, what kind of pervert is this guy? You know what I mean? This guy is a flamer. He really is. This is the jerk here. He looks like a pedophile. You know what I mean? What kind of jerk would you do that for? You know what I mean? Like, it's your company, you're designer, you got to let kids in the ads with sex toys. You know what I mean? The little teddy bear with the sex toy, whatever. It's disgusting, man. Look at that. Like, horrible stuff, dude. You know what I mean? It really is. It's a Balenciaga, I think it's called. And it's some famous design. A lot of Hollywood people wear the stuff. Yeah, go figure, right? And I guess Kanye West came out to defend him, I guess.
Wow. Well, words can't describe how I feel about this. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to say that really calmly. Yeah. Wow. That's it's irritating. It's just irritating. It's irritating.
These people are disgusting.
Yeah. I really pray for them too. Yeah. Yeah, speaking of, Kanye, I seen the other day, Kanye, I think what is all the news about him getting kicked off Twitter and all that, right? I think Kanye was kicked off of Twitter, Dan, for posting a symbol of UFO worship, like a cult, like worship cult. I guess that's what they narrowed it. I think it was a Waskaga or something like that. Yeah. I think that's what they titled it, as a symbol of UFO worship. But I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
So, you get into that whole narrative, you can talk about the shape of the Hitler narrative and the Denver airport and all that. And I thought it was interesting that he was kicked off for the same signature, the same symbol, so, saying it was associated with UFO. I just wanted to throw it out there. Kind of wild.
Yeah, man. It is. We got some UFO news if you want to bring that up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can chime in, man. I'm just real, like, in a really calm state tonight, trying to be just in a good setup, just good mindset tonight. And I'm very thankful to be here. So,
yeah.
A lot going on, and just thankful to be alive, So, but let's get into it. So I can share it, and let's get into this narrative. So, well, excuse me. Let me throw this up here real quick. I'll get it right here. All right, one moment, guys.
No problem. While you're doing that, guys, I want to thank Valerie and Uncle Obvious for moderating our chat room. Thank you guys so much. And there's a couple of people asking about donations, whatever. We got this here. It's called a Ko-fi. It's basically you can use any form of payment. If anybody wants to donate to help support our ministry, I'm going to pin it in the chat room too. So you might have to cut and paste that link, or you might be able to click on it. I don't know. But if you do that, it takes any form of card. I mean, it goes to our PayPal and everything. So you don't have to sign up for nothing. You just use your card, and it's all safe. So you don't have to worry about nothing. We've been using it for a while now. It's been very helpful, but it does go into our operation here. It helps with equipment, streaming, and all the internet and everything else we have to pay for. And it's crazy that, especially with everything going up, electricity and all that stuff. So we thank everybody who has been helping financially. And the best thing you can do is help spiritually by praying for us. I say that all the time. But thank you guys, Valerie and Uncle Obvious, guys, for moderating this chat and everything else. And they've been sticking with us for a couple of years now. It's been pretty cool. So, yeah, whenever you're ready, brother.
Yeah. I'm going to zoom in some more. I was trying to look at it. That's why I zoomed back in. Forgive me. I wanted to zoom in.
Look, you're going and done it now.
Yeah, I was going back and showing my whole. I could see I could see my face and like a doppelganger and everything on here. Only on the Spiritual Warfare Wednesday show. On this article here, U.S. nuclear submarine. So this came out today. Yesterday. Buzzed by underwater object traveling faster than the speed of sound, according to this scientist. Scientists carried out classified work on board the USS Hampton nuclear submarine in the late 1990s. Says the sub was buzzed by an unidentified object traveling underwater faster than the speed of sound.
Wow! Especially in the water, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, if you got so much pressure, water pressure and everything, yeah, Dan, it's off the chart, right? And I just get into this article, like talking about this YouTuber UFO researcher, Christopher Leto. Scientist Bob McGuire said that the sub was running deep and fast when it was passed at extremely high speed by an object. According to McGuire, the encounter was confirmed by a member of crew who was shocked at the speed that the unidentified submerged object. And there's we were underway, all of a sudden, I like I hear the sound. It's really strange because it's clear. That what is going on is something is whizzing by us and it's moving so fast. I just can't believe it. This thing blew by us like we were standing still. A person with knowledge of the onboard systems came out and said something really bad, a bad word. And I don't want to put that on there. I had to speed down. I didn't realize it said that. Then the speed of sound underwater, but the faster than the speed of sound in the air, he continued.
Wow.
And it talks about, it's insane, right? Talks about this tic tac that they brought out in 2017. It kind of gives you this, pilot describes encounter and all this stuff. Sounds moves, and it talks about the crew didn't want to report it, didn't want to tell anybody, didn't want to cause any problems. Sounds moves at 1,480 meters per second in water. That would be 3,355 miles per hour. Perhaps it was a TikTok UFO, which has been merging from the ocean at high rates of speed. And then that's the end of that article. But what do you think, Dan? I mean, it's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, no, well, that is
pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And plus, we got this other one, man. The orbs in the triangle formation in the sky.
Oh, yeah. You want me to talk about that, too? You go ahead.
Man, I'm just thinking about that for a minute because, to go the speed of sound on the water, you could only imagine how fast it would go in the air.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be like Mach 20.
Yeah.
At that speed, right? And then they, it happened in the 1990s. What cracks me up about this, right? This is where I'm at. So if this happened in the 1990s, why are we talking about it now? And why are we holding back information until 2022 and bring this article up and start talking about it now, right?
It's like 30 years.
It just wasn't. Yeah, we're literally trying to swing this knowledge out and just as okay, all right, well, don't worry about it. We'll bring it out in December 2022. It kind of makes my mind wonder what's going on here, especially what we talked about on our Spiritual Warfare Friday, this last show we did. I mean, come on, Dan. That PDF file and everything, those documents of the UFO FBI documents. I mean, come on. If you haven't got a chance, go check out that. It's,
I'm sorry, it just reminded me of somebody made a meme, was a pope, right? And it said PDF file, not pedophile.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, speaking of UFOs, man, orbs in a triangle formation in the skies above Reno. This was actually on this year, yesterday actually. So these are the orbs seen in Nevada there. So let me play this video here.
These 3 floating orbs were spotted in the sky above Reno in Nevada on December 5th, 2022. Witness stated that they moved in unison with one another and were floating together. After 3 minutes, 2 of the lights disappeared in front of me, and then the third one followed about 1 minute later. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this UFO sighting, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more UFO videos.
What the fuck is that?
Sorry for the language, guys.
Why are we doing that? What is that? What the fuck is that? Oh, hell no! Dude, what the fuck is that?
Let me turn the voice off. So basically, people driving down following these objects in the sky. It's crazy, huh? So you see a lot of these things. They're popping up everywhere. And if you go to any of these UFO reporting sites, they show all the reports of UFOs, man. They're dramatically expanding, man. Because we did a show on this. We did a show on everything, I guess. We look back over the years. Yep, we did a show on that. Then when they say The Simpsons, there was a Simpsons episode on that. So, yeah, we did a show on that.
It's interesting that, no joke, I've seen these 3, seriously, I see these, I guess if you want to call it, a triangle shape orb-like crafts over top, seriously, over top the house, over top of my uncle's house. No joke. We watched them come in one time. It was unbelievable. This was last year, I think. Excuse me. Forgive me. It was November 2020, I think. Yeah. No, it's over a year ago. Anyways, it was around November, I think. Anyways, wow. We really watched them go over, Dan. We was standing still. It was a little bit cloudy, but not too much. We literally watched them move over, over top of our head, one after another. It was 3 of them, right? And then within 30 to 40 seconds after all three of them cleared, here comes a helicopter, and literally started hovering at low altitude and going around, and then going into the field behind his house and looking around, spotlighting. And I thought it was really interesting because it was you could hear total silence come up above you. So it was like, wow, what is that? And then, not to mention, I'll tell you another random story on my walk when I used to be an old, delivery guy, delivering stuff. I used to deliver old milk, but did a lot of milk runs, delivering milk. But anyways, there was a gentleman one time. He was he looked like a chemist, he just looked like a profile of a scientist. I'm not trying to, narrow anybody down to that, but he did claim to be a professor and all this stuff, and claimed to. I happened to be hearing this conversation with one of the clerks. I happened to be delivering, and I think I might have told this on a different platform, or maybe this one. But anyways, he was talking about the triangle form that you just showed there. He was talking about in the 90s that you could hold, like, I can't remember if he said 70-something crew members or something. He said that they re-engineered the technology from the so-called aliens. He was talking about Roswell, all this stuff, and talking about large amount of people could get on and live up in space, or so-called space, whenever he's telling me a story. Even back then, I think this was like in 2015, and even back then I was like, okay. So, and I even I tuned in on the conversation. I said, excuse me, sir. I was like, I think what you're talking about referring to is fallen angels. And he started saying fallen angels and aliens are totally different. So I said, oh, so you don't disagreeing with me, you believe in fallen angels? He said, yeah, fallen angels and aliens are different things. They're totally different. I said, they're one and the same. I said, we're talking about the biblical narrative. He said, yeah, biblical narrative, some of it's right, but there's more to it than that. And I was like, okay. So then you get into different species of, so-called aliens. And then you get into the different tribes of giants. I said, talking about Book of Enoch. I was going on a big rant, and trying to put my 2 cents in. And he just wasn't having it. He said he served in the 90s when Clinton served, and he was going on this big tangent. And he said he's seen the schematics. He was, talking all this stuff, military people he knew, and all those different things. And I knew he wasn't a kook, because it's like, whenever he got done and walked away, I said, well, you have a blessed day. I talked to the clerk, one of the women there, and she's like, yeah, he comes in there all the time rambling about aliens and how he's worried about getting taken over and abducted. And I was like, are you kidding me? So this guy, I'm telling you, Dan, he was very educated, could speak very fluently. You could tell he had a lot of educational. I'd say he had a lot of titles or whatever, but I was trying to, say, tell him some biblical truth, and he wouldn't have it. Mention Jesus, he wouldn't have it. And but it was interesting that he said fallen angels and aliens. He wouldn't discredit the fallen angel narrative. That's what cracked me up. He said they're two different things. He literally said they're two different things, and I'm like, whoa, okay, So at least he believed in the fallen, but he's over, he had so much to talk about these triangle shaped crafts, man. He was torn up over triangle crafts. He was talking about the schematics and how big they was, the altitude that they could fly, and you can go in Mach 10. I mean, he was just so adamant about like he'd been there or something. Like he flew one with a remote control car, like a remote control car. Like he lived it, breathed it, went across the ice wall and came back, and he was at the Family Dollar while I was delivering milk. And he was rambling on about his excursions, like he's the second Admiral Byrd or something. But you know what I mean? I don't know. It was crazy, Dan. But I have seen these triangle crafts, no joke, all day long. I've got pictures. I've got people sending pictures to me just recently of these triangle crafts like this right here at an angle. Like it would be perspective, your perspective, but it would be at an angle and everything, hovering over their houses in Kentucky for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm showing some pictures of them. So, yeah, it's kind of strange, man. And there's no doubt they could probably some of them could be government planes, because I remember the SR-71 Blackbird, and I think that the Roswell thing, part of that lease or whatever, was the SR-71 Blackbird, because when they were testing it at the time, because when it flies, that thing's, even to this day, it's still the fastest aircraft made. And that thing was a spy plane, and you literally have to wear a spacesuit to fly that thing, a pressurized suit, because that thing goes so high, and that thing's so fast. You have to air start these things. So, Awesome stuff, man. And that it's a fast aircraft, but they reported a black aircraft with no sound that crashed, and they pulled 2 bodies out with suits on. So to me, that sounds like the SR-71 Blackbird. But you got to remember, guys, because this goes back to what we talk about all the time, Operation Paperclip. When we recruited the Nazi German scientists and all that, they brought all that stealth technology here, the stealth technology and all the, and they would experiment with these UFO crafts too. You know what I mean? And me and David Carrico did a show on us, UFOs over Nazis over Antarctica, I think it was called. And how Hitler took the interest in Antarctica and all that stuff. We did a show, me and Brian, and on this stuff. So, but Hitler was fascinated also with these aliens, these UFOs, and they got a lot of technology from them. And that's why we went over there and recruited the German scientists and the SS officers during Operation Paperclip to bring them to work for the United States of America. So these very well could be, I mean, I'm not saying they're not whatever, but they very well could be government aircraft. You know what I mean? Experimentation, whatever the case are. And they could be something from the Nephilim. Well, the fallen angels, I'm sorry. Because you got to understand, too, guys, these entities, these beings don't have powers to... They need technology to get around, you know what I mean? And they need technology to set up Satan's New World Order. So we don't know. It could be either or both. I mean, they could be working together. Who knows? But there's definitely something out of the ordinary, that's for sure.
Well, there used to be this guy. I hadn't heard nothing from him for a while. Like I wasn't putting any, hope into his knowledge, what he was, passing along on the world of YouTube. But I'm not going to say his name or mock him or anything. But he was talking about the Galactic Federation. He would claim to be Christ consciousness, that kind of narrative, like say he's of Christ and we're going through this change of spiritual enlightenment and all this stuff. And his narrative was that those 3 dotted ships, the pyramid-like ships that are in the sky, that was, and literally what's so ironic, whenever I seen when I was on my in my uncle's driveway in that November, there was 3 of them that we seen hover over the house. So I was like, okay. And then according to this guy that I just listened to him because I thought it was kind of interesting that he was just spewing off regurgitating this garbage, but he would put a lot of food for thought in. He was like, okay, there's 3 ships and there's the dumbs, the people, the children that they're removing from the dumbs. That would be tunnel systems and all these secret, supposedly places that are hidden, that are under the ground. All these people that are, supposedly this hidden cities and all this stuff. And he said that they would take the people because they couldn't live on top of the surface because their eyes couldn't develop, and they would take them up to these so-called Galactic Federation. And there's these they wasn't supposedly all human or whatever, but he's like, they're here to help us. And I'm like, wow. And then it kind of go along with, Mr. Magoo that I used to see at the Family Dollar and stuff like that. These narratives that kind of fit in to what they're spinning, what he was talking about probably since the 1990s. And then you got this guy in the 2020s talking about this so-called Galactic Federation that's helping the people that are underground heal their eyesight so they can live a good life supposedly we don't have the technology on the upper soil, so they have to spin them. They have to, make them levitate to a magical, I hate to use that word, hovercraft to be able to give them some type of new enlightenment. I mean, it's just bizarre stuff, Dan. Bizarre stuff, and I just was like, man, he was like, yeah, it's food for thought. And I'm like, no, it's not food for thought. It makes me feel ignorant. But, whatever. There's a lot of people running around wolf sheep's clothing, it's like, okay, you gotta pray about this stuff, guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, you do. And so yeah, it really is. It's I hate when they say food for thought. It's like, all right, it makes no sense. So it's not food at all. It's more like diarrhea for thought,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's.
Oh, there's say, devil's advocate. You know what I mean? It's like, I hate when people say that. It's like, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute.
Yeah,
like,
I know. What do you mean the devil's advocate? Yeah, what do you mean the devil's advocate?
You're going to advocate for the devil? That means it's a lie. Anything from the devil is a lie. So, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So, I'm breaking to this, too. This is a couple odd things going on, man. I don't know if to laugh or just puke on us, but Florida man, a 36-year-old kid, right, Chad Mason, he was arrested on several charges, including sexual activity with an animal. So this Florida man was arrested after having public sex with a dog, damaging the church nativity scenes. And what in the hell was going through these people? Was this guy possessed or something? I mean, who knows? But a Florida man was arrested after he had sex with a dog in front of families, wrecked a nativity scene there by a church, and attempted to steal a vehicle. What? Like, who does that? Like, I'm going to run up to a dog and have sex with the dog in front of people, and I'm going to... Something's going on here. This guy might have flipped his lid or probably possessed, whatever, because nobody just does that, you know? So, 36-year-old was arrested Sunday on several charges, including sexual activity with an animal, exposing sexual organs, and criminal mischief to place of worship. So, Mason knew the owner of the Golden Doodle dog. All right, so he knew the owner of the Golden Doodle dog and was taking it out for a walk in the apartment complex. So I guess he was taking his dog out, and so he then began to have sex with the dog in front of multiple adults and children who are under 16 years old. So, yeah. And one adult witness confronted Mason when he fled the scene to Northwood Presbyterian Church. Thank you, guys. Gwen, thank you for the donation.
Yeah, thank you, Gwen. Bless you.
But, man, this is crazy, right? And he entered the church and proceeded to knock over the nativity display, breaking several potted plants and throwing children's toys from the playground or area. And Mason's actions resulted in an estimated $400 in damage to the church, according to officials. What in the... Like, this guy just does... And he doesn't... I mean, like, I don't know, man. Look at him. He just looks like a clean-cut person. You know, and what... This guy either flipped his lid or some kind of a spiritual thing attacked him, man, or like an unclean spirit or something, because whatever possessed you to do, have sex with a dog, first of all, that alone right there, then do this stuff in front of children, and then go around just do random crimes like that. That's kind of odd, man.
Yeah, I don't. Words can't even describe that either, Dan.
Yeah. No.
when I just the stuff you've been bringing tonight, man, I just get speechless. I'm just like, man, I don't even know. I'm just gonna keep praying for the broadcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some strange stuff. I mean, you got that. You got the animals going in circles.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody's flipping their lid. You know, it's like just some strange stuff going on. I don't know. You got one group of people saying that, you know, this gets into the alien phenomenon stuff. Then, you know, they got the reptilians are taking over the planet, you know, and that's why there's so much craziness going on. You got another thing. They're saying Nibiru's here. It's causing a magnetic pole shift that's causing man's brains to turn into mush. And maybe that's what's wrong with this guy that you're speaking of on this Florida article here. Maybe his brain turned to mush because the magnetic field came over and caused him to be disoriented. I don't know, Dan.
Yeah, man.
I guess I'm giving him. Yeah, I don't know.
Commit
bestiality
and.
Yeah, but I mean, for real, they try to discredit. They try to spin whatever, you know, like, well, people are just losing their minds because the birds and the animals are telling us too. Yeah, there's something significantly going on for sure. But I mean, this isolated incident here with this guy, man, I mean, it reminds me of full blown just Legion coming up into him and taking him over, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it from some wacko, but you look like a clean cut guy, like normal guy living in a complex, and working a job, and what would possess him to do that? Maybe it could be anything. I'm not defending the guy, but maybe he broke up with his girl and he flipped his lid, or we don't know, you know what I mean? Or it could be an unclean spirit that would actually make somebody do that stuff, you know what I mean? Who's going to just do that, you know what I mean? It sounds like to me a spirit, because why would they go attack a nativity scene? You know what I mean? Why would they just go do these random things like that? You know, and that's what demons would do. They would go attack something like that. They would do some sexual thing with an animal or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's what they did when they were alive. The Nephilim, they had sex with animals and women and everything else. And and anything that walked literally. You know what I mean? That's why God said all flesh was corrupt. You know what I mean?
And unnatural affection.
Yep.
That's what the Bible talks about too. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you're speaking of the sheep. I don't know if you guys heard that, but There's a large flock of sheep strangely walk in circles for hours or for days. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, it's been days and days. I don't even know. Heck, they might be still jumping around out, different. I heard different. Okay, so I heard not just sheep. I heard dogs. I heard somewhere in Australia. I heard kangaroos was doing it or something like that. I heard all kinds of different narratives about it. Right, Dan? Yeah. I heard that it was all happening around the same time when this was in China with the biblical when there's biblical sheep strangely walking in circles for days, weeks. All this article here that you're showing, but I heard it was in China with the sheep. Then people online was trying to discredit it, disprove it, and say that this has been happening for years. And I will tell you this, Dan. I've seen a video or something clip years back talking about like they had an iPhone, and then they had like the bugs. They would literally, whenever the phone would ring,
yep,
the ants would interact and spin in a circle formation every time the phone the frequency of the phone of the ring. So they would circle in circumference. They would circle the iPhone. So when you think about that, and I'll just tell you, Dan, this is another thing. This is another theory of mine. Either some people will say, well, it's something to do with earthquakes or volcano eruption or something seismic activity that's in the ground. I'm more thinking that it's more something above ground, like pushing down, and it's causing an isolated event like these, all these places that they're pulling. It's something above causing some type of magnetic shift of some magnetic form, some kind of frequency, and it's causing them to do that because you see like birds falling out of the sky, you see all these different things coming out, you like bees, everything that's up in the air, the fowls of the air, right? So they're losing their GPS system, and it reminds me if there's something there that they call it an anomaly, but it's like if you went in there with the EMF reader, right, and went around and see if there's a strong frequency. But if you had a drone and you flew the EMF reader, electromagnetic field, to see what was reading up at the top, there could be something up in the sky that's causing these guys to spin like that and turn and twist. You know what I'm saying? Because it just can't be that simple. Can't be that simple. It's like, okay. And then what was so bad about it, even the so-called specialist or of animal experts and animal specialists of these sheep and looking at it, they was trying to explain away what was going on, and I think we figured this out, I think it's this, I think it's that, I think it's this, and let me just tell you, they'll just make up anything. And here's what I couldn't think, here's what I couldn't even contemplate. I was like, why aren't you all, if you won't stop looking at it, won't you go out there and start putting fence posts to like mess with them, like to like not hurt them, but like put a barrier to see if they'll continue doing the circle formation. If you have that much time and you have this much publicity, nationwide or world global wide of this narrative, why can't you put something like a barrier and see if they'll still do the pattern, and then make a good conclusion of your data, of your scientific data? You know what I mean? But maybe I just don't, whatever. But I would be like trying to put something up like a barrier to see if they continuate the pattern with the barrier. You know what I'm saying? And like make it like a maze and see if they continuate the circle formation in the maze instead of being like evaluating it. Let's, like, they'll just let them spin out of control. Well, why don't you stop them and then see if they'll still do it? I seen it might have been last year. I think it was either elk. I think it might have been elk last year. They did that in a farm. It did it there was like 3 different circle formations, and they was in different fence lines in close proximity. They was doing like formations exactly like the sheep. And I think it was last year. I think it was elk. Did the exact same narrative. So I'm like, man, there's something more going on. It's something above. It's something above, guys. It has to be.
It reminds me of the mass animal die-offs, right? Like you see, like this over here talks about still unsolved to this day from Time Magazine. Southern blackbirds, American honeybees, bats with white noise syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Chilean birds and Australian pilot whales. You got hippopotamuses, frogs, all kinds of stuff, livestock, and there was one I think was like all tuna, or salmon, whatever it was. But here's the thing, right? I can see, right? Or if a bunch of pigeons drop from the air. We've seen that video. A bunch of they just went down, like it was like 100 of them just dove to the ground. You know what I mean? For no reason, you know. And they just die off of one species. You know, I could see, all right, wash the shore. I could see when you have like thousands of tuna, right? I could see if there was squids in there. I could see if there was salmon in there and other kinds of fish, right? But when you have one specific species, thousands of them laying on the beach dead, there's something other than, what's going on, And again, if it was like all kinds of sea animals, then that could be explained. It could be some radiation, something could happen, whatever. But when you have only one species, right? To say, especially you got the birds, right? You got pigeons, you got seagulls, you got all kinds of crows and everything else. But just when the blackbirds, no eagles, no nothing else, just blackbirds laying there, thousands of them dead. Yeah, no pigeons. Yeah, it's a little weird, isn't it? You know what I mean? When you see cattle, like a bunch of cows dead, right? But the mooses and all that, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, speaking of, I did have an article on that, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
And I've lost it. Animals, where are my animals at? They was blaming it. Yeah, like, so they're trying to explain away the phenomenon, but there's another thing happening in Alaska 4 days ago. I won't get much into it, but I won't even show it. It's just talking about a bunch of stuff in the narrative. They're trying to do some research. They're talking about these whales. The mystery, it's like there's Alaska's disappearing whales. And they say, and what blows my mind, I'll bring something, I'm not going to share it, but I will chime in a little bit. Do you remember seeing, it might have been 4 or 5 years ago. Did you see where a whale, I think it was in Brazil, there was a baby whale, no joke. There was a baby whale out in the middle of nowhere. And the locals and everything, I've talked about on this show before, the locals and everything was walking around and looking at the vultures up in the sky. And it's like, hey, there's something must be really bad dead over there, because it's like in the middle of the forest. Sure enough, it was this huge whale. It looked like it just been laid down, just, like miraculously just flown in and just dropped down on the ground. I'll never get over that. And then another thing I'll never get over is this phenomenon that they say, and they blame it on hurricanes and stuff like that. I couldn't believe like the fish that was falling from the sky. I couldn't believe that. Brim, like different bass, different types of fish. It was like in Japan, China, and different. I know they're surrounded by bodies of water in Japan, but I couldn't believe there was some out here somewhere that happened here in America. I don't know if it was Tennessee or some other state close by me, but I can't remember. And then alligators, no joke. Like there was footage. I think it might have been in the Philippines or something. We literally just driving down the street, and then little baby alligators are bashing your windshield. And I mean, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and there's alligators. I mean, come on, Dan.
2020, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Alligators fall from the sky.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Dan. What is all that?
Charleston, South Carolina.
What is all that? I mean, we can say, and then when you look at it, they're like, well, there was hurricane and bad weather. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not that intelligent. I mean, I'm just foolish in my thinking. But if I fall from the sky out of a plane, some of these things was falling, hitting the window, and just walking off. And if I fall out of the sky, which that I will talk about that one more time. I have been looking at that. There's been literally reports of people just like miraculously falling from a large high place, but there's nowhere, there's nothing. Like there's no evidence of anything, no high mountains. They impact the ground and they have no clothes on. So let's just go there. And then if the same narrative with these alligators, these fish, et cetera, whales, just, randomly just popping up and just appearing out of nowhere, hitting windshields. I don't know about you, but water, really bad storm. I'm talking about a mass loads of little baby alligators, little baby fish. Something's not adding up,
Wow.
Something's not adding up, Dan, because it wouldn't sporadically, if something was falling from the sky. And I know this because I had some friends tell me some stories when I used to ride motorcycles years ago. When you have deer that get hit by semis and you don't know, and you're riding at midnight at night and you don't know that you have a huge buck coming at, 100-mile-an-hour at you and you're driving 80 to 100-mile-an-hour, it's going to be a bad day and it lands on top of you. That actually happens to some of the people that I know of that happened, and it's a horrible mess. What I'm getting at, the impact was horrific on that situation. So if you're falling from a high altitude, something's, you know what I'm saying, Dan? Something's not adding up. And you mean we're going to blame it on a hurricane? Just miraculously, like bringing in, just, you know, let's just lay our little animals on the ground nice and softly. I'm not buying it, man. I know it's a little out there.
Oh, it is. It's so very weird.
And then you have meteorites coming out of the sky.
Yeah.
You have meteors coming out of the sky and hitting houses and catching them on fire, blowing holes through a hood or whatever. But I'm not buying it, man.
Yeah, how does an alligator fall from the sky, man? It's crazy. And but there's all the documentation of it right there, you know, and all kinds of fish and all that stuff. And I did find that the Alaska thing too, the article.
Please put it up if you want to. Yeah.
In Alaska, mystery over disappearing whales. So bogus past cultural knowledge across generations, their survival may depend on how they collectively adapt. So I don't know. This is I didn't get to read this yet, guys, but I guess is mystery of disappearing whales in Alaska. So Brian knows more on this than me. Yeah.
So what kills me is I keep saying that it's something to do with the pressure, and they're migrating to different. They know the humid climate, the climate change narrative. That's what they keep spinning it. They know, they're saying that these animals are very advanced, very intellectual, intelligent, and all this stuff, and they know when there's some type of pressure, you know, coming down the pike and saying, hey, we got to stay away from this area, and then we got to migrate to, you know, to only the Father knows, right? But these people make these insane theories, and you know, they keep having massive die-off in other countries. You know, the fish and the whales come up on the dolphins, come up on the shore, you know, and I remember seeing a video not too long ago, Dan. People was literally trying to help people go, like literally help pull the dolphins and these baby whales back into the ocean, but they would just like come back. Like they would it's like they wanted to just pass away or something. Like they would jump and they would not go into the water. They would, you know, haul these heavy animals back into the water, and then they would come back on the shore and get back on the beach and try, you know, just act like they wanted to pass away, you know. It's crazy, man. Something's going on. Something's going on there.
And it could be a preview of, you know, Revelation talks about beasts in the fields dying off and, you know, all that stuff, you know what I mean? And very well could be a preview to, because these things happen by increments, you know what I mean? Birth pains, as the Bible talks about it, you know what I mean? Birth pains, absolutely. And they get worse and worse, and that's exactly what that could be, you know what I mean? And that's what I think it is.
Especially with the God's creatures like that.
Yeah.
Because they're in tune, they're in a different tuning. A lot of these animals have different frequencies than we do. They're in tune to the earth. The actual physical earth, you know, like they understand things a little different when it comes to their environment. We as a human society, we turn away. I'm being sarcastic here. We've turned away from the Creator, and we want man to tell us what to do. And the Bible says, "Don't trust man." We will turn away from what the Father has put in instruction manual, and we'll just think that we're superior and believe what man tells us. Yeah. But, you know, the animals are saying, hey, human, there's something horribly going on here, and I'm trying to warn you, but you decide to just listen to what the narrative that these people are regurgitating out of their mouth with their 10,000 PhDs. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. You know, if I seen look, Dan, I'm just going to be honest with you. If I seen an alligator come up to me and hit the dash or hit the top of the house and start want me to pet it, you know, and not want me, you know what I'm saying? Come here, little crocodile. Or if I have a grizzly bear come up to me and he, you know, or a tiger or something walking up and down the street and laying in my yard, I'm going to think, I'm going to say, God, we have a problem here. I need to pray before I get ate up. But I'm saying, if they're going around acting all domesticated and want to be like a little fluffy chia pet that you can, you know, little plant things you used to grow, and they just sit on your front porch, we have a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying it. Like if they, you know, and I mean, the days of Noah, that did happen, But yeah, I'm gonna be listening. I'm gonna be like, what are you all doing? You know, like, you know, there's something here. God's trying to tell me something. I'm not gonna sit here and call the animal control and, you know, say, hey, I got a bunch of animals out here just falling from the sky, you know, or floating around here. You know, I guess I'll just explain away. I guess the tide from the, you know, the biometric pressure of 2.5, you know, longitude, you know, just start making up stuff. You know, it's ignorant. It's crazy, man.
It's like,
but anyways,
the snowstorms, they call them, I don't know what the cyclones are now.
Yeah.
Lightning and thunder going on in the middle of, I remember that. So when it first started happening, it was like, it was snowing out heavy, and all of a sudden I heard lightning and thunder. I'm like, what the heck? That's never happened. Never. And they want to
I know,
this is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially here in New England. That's never happened. Or a tornado in the middle of a blizzard. Yeah,
I know.
And they act like this is normal. You know, they try to dismiss it as normal and not make a big deal about it. And like, am I hearing things? Lightning and thundering, you can see the lightning flash and everything else, and tornadoes going off in the middle of the blizzards. Like, what the heck is going on?
That's about as bad as the Sahara Desert that they say that happens in Russia, and the sands get carried up from the wind currents, and they have orange snow, and they call it a phenomenon that happens, and they have this orange snow. The Sahara Desert carries thousands of sand, literally thousands of grains of sand fly through the atmosphere and then get dropped into Russia, in some place in Russia. I can't remember where it's at, Diane, and then they have orange snow cream, you know. I'm just being silly, but that's what they call it, like orange snow. Wow. And I'm not buying it, guys.
Just don't eat the yellow snow.
Yeah, no joke. But the thing is, it just blows my mind, Dan. Like, if you just think about it, if you just go outside and pick up dirt and you go, okay, pick it up, wind, and if it goes and just fits, it's going to hit the ground or it's going to blow down the street. But it's not going to be picked up, 2,000, 4,000 miles away and say, well, I made it. You know, I mean, it doesn't make it. I'm going to lay on this nice, pretty little fluffy snow cloud. No, I'm not buying it, you all. I'm sorry. Yeah. But, that just doesn't, there's no logic thinking on that. It's insane world, man. It's crazy. But anyways, yeah, I'm going on my rant.
Gears for a second here. And this is, of course, coming from the Pope, right? So Breitbart magazine's reporting that Pope Francis asked non-believers to send him good vibes in lieu of prayers. So good vibes is a new age concept. I mean, good vibrations and, the vibrations of the universe, all that new age garbage, right? So why would a Pope, now we know, I think everybody of us that's watching, we all know that Pope's not a man of God. We all know that. But for new listeners that don't know any better, why would a so-called man of God ask for good vibes? Well, actually, I shouldn't say that, because even in most Christian churches today, they adopted the New Age concept, and that's what they're preaching to, which is disgusting. So, yeah, no person of God should say good vibes. You know what I mean? Plain and simple. That's a New Age concept, plain and simple. So, so Pope Francis requests prayers Friday, or at least good vibes from those who do not know how to pray or do not believe in God. So he's like, oh, we need your prayers and your good vibes. So,
oh man,
I ask you not to forget to pray for me. The pontiff, he's like, I ask you not to pray for me. The way he talks. The pontiff urged members of the French organization leaders of purely Pilar Pax, and if someone does not pray because he does not know or cannot, at least send me good vibes. I need them for this work. All right, good vibes is not going to do anything. All right, plain and simple, because there's no such thing. Prayers from God does work, yes, absolutely. But in Saturday's address, the Pope focused on overcoming the war and working for peace, insisting that trying to resolve conflicts were weapons of signs of weakness and fragility, where negotiation, meditation, he gets into the whole Ukraine garbage thing, whatever. But but asking for good vibes. Yeah. I'm just speechless with that. It's like,
yeah, it reminds me, what was that old song? I'm picking up something, vibrations or something. What was that song? What was that song? Vibrations. Yeah, good vibrations. Yeah, I guess that's what he's singing. Yeah, Beach Boys. That's what I guess. That's probably he probably invite him over to sing that song or something. Yeah. Good vibrations. Yeah. Only on Spiritual Warfare Wednesday.
Yeah, bust out the guitar. We'll good vibrations.
Yeah. Oh man. I had to go there, Dan. That's the first thing I thought of whenever you were saying vibrate, give me the good vibes, That's Pope saying. We did that whole Nimrod show, right? Remember we was talking about frequency and stuff and worship and all the Tatarian type of, the architect work and stuff and, the worship of it, when we was talking about the, over there in the Vatican and stuff, it's just, it's crazy, man. There's more to it than there's more to it. I don't know, man. We can go anywhere. And Elon Musk, wherever you want to go from here, the asteroid that's going to come in impending doom that they're talking about.
The asteroid, and we'll save the Elon Musk stuff for Friday.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, if you want to talk about the asteroid, or I can talk about the asteroid.
Sure.
It blows my mind. It's just everybody that's in the broadcast. I'm going to get a little serious. We're going to sing the Good Vibration song, Beach Boys. But I'm just being silly. But you can just do an asteroid 2022 Google search, and it'll talk about just any article that you can pull from. It'll say, asteroid danger looms, 170-foot space rock heading for Earth today. That was 2 days ago. 1 day ago, a 69-foot asteroid coming to shockingly close to the Earth. NASA clock speed at 49,800, 897,000. Miles per hour, And I'm thinking, didn't we just read an article a while ago about the submarine and the ancient, the 1990 event when they're underwater? This thing, it's just a blimp in their visual system, their peripheral. They can barely see it. It's just going at, 4,000 miles an hour. But this guy, I like how they can measure it. And then you have, just like what happened to that poor guy's, what was that asteroid that came down, supposed meteorite that came down and burnt that guy's let me see, it burnt down his home, him and his wife and dog. We talked about it a little bit a few weeks back. It was in California, I think, or something. The meteorite come down, and there was a bunch of eyewitnesses talking about that it slowed down. And if you look and go back and do a little research in the last 10 years and looking into meteorites, there's eyewitnesses. They'll even come out and say it. Yeah, it slowed down before it got through some type of atmospheric, whatever, weather phenomenon, pressure, whatever. And they'll say it slows down. And I'm like, okay, it's going to slow down after it's coming in so a billion, 50,000 miles an hour or whatever. And it's just going to slow down and miraculously not even put it. And then when it hits the ground, Dan, it's like, you could probably do more damage if you drove a car off of an airplane and drop, and hit the impaled into the ground. I just don't understand it, guys.
And
like some of the stuff doesn't.
So this gets me right. So they can't even produce a full picture of this is NASA minutes. They admit that they Photoshop pictures of the Earth, right, to put it together, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they can't produce a full picture, a live picture of the Earth, right? But yet they're going to give you the exact. Sometimes they give the weight. They could tell you the exact 69 feet and then whatever 1,000 pounds or whatever, and they give you the exact diameter of the trajectory, right, of a rock, all right, in the middle of the blackness of space, right? How do you see a rock in the middle of blackness? First of all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, it makes no sense. I'm not saying these things. I don't know, man, but we know there's a firmament, you know what I mean? And we're not saying that things don't fall from the firmament, because God does send things out of the firmament, But the thing is, they put this all the time, and I think it just keeps the funding coming in, because every once in a while they'll throw out a little scare. Oh, an asteroid came close to the Earth or whatever, and they call it global killers, right? And we know, here's the thing, and I want everybody to understand this, right? When you see this garbage on TV, right? Do understand one thing. There's never going to be an asteroid that's going to come and destroy the Earth. I could 100 million trillion% assure you of that. Why? Because this book called the Bible, right, the Word of God, it lays out exactly what happens to this Earth. God is the one eventually that ends up, causing fire on this Earth to cleanse it. He makes a new heaven and a new Earth. But you think God's going to allow, rock from nowhere to come and destroy this planet that he built and he has plans for it? No. And I could firmly assure you with full confidence that there's not going to be any asteroid. And I'm not going to say it's not going to hit, because they do hit. We understand that. But to destroy the entire Earth, that's never going to happen. And I assure you that. And we understand the scripture does talk about, rocks the size of mountains coming, polluting 1/3 of the ocean, 32% of it, whatever the case. But it's not a global killer, like they say. You know what I mean? So don't ever let these people scare you. And all it does is it keeps funding coming in.
Absolutely.
That's all it does. To make them
What was that
relevant.
movie? What was that movie? Was it Armageddon with Bruce Willis? Was that 1998 or 2000 or something like that? So it's like right before all this stuff. Wasn't it 1999 or 2000 or 99 or something? And it's all what Deep Impact wasn't. I'm doing this all by memory. Wasn't Deep Impact in 1997?
Yep.
And all these different, all these different narratives, right? And it's just like spinning the narrative. Back then they was talking about space. But they still are, but they was doing really good. I hate to say it, but productions, what Independence Day and stuff like that, and putting millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars into it, and then turn around. 2022, 20 plus years later, they're saying, the aliens are here, and they're doing all these different Marvel movies and stuff like that to do with space, and literally saying, oh yeah, these are the aliens, and it goes along with Samaritan and Mesopotamia and all these different characters. I just can't believe it, Dan, that you can go look that stuff up, and they're getting so deep into the characters that are in the Marvel universe, and they all have to do with deities of ancient days. It blows my mind. So,
yeah, it's crazy, man, and it's all this apocalyptic stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's funny too, because another thing, it's a pet peeve too when they talk about nuclear bombs and they say about Armageddon, right? And I'm going to tell you right out, when they talk about nuclear bombs turning on. No, nuclear bombs are falling, right? If they fall, there's nothing compared to what Armageddon's going to be. Let's put that straight right there. So nuclear bombs have nothing to do with Armageddon, because Armageddon's when, the Lord comes back and kicks the snot out of the New World Order. Plain and simple. You know what I mean? That's worse than any nuclear bomb. So, it just baffles me that they'll have a name for it, like a rock that is just coming out of nowhere, right? In the blackness, right? They could tell you exactly the length of it, the size of it, even sometimes how much it weighs, the whole 9 yards, the precise trajectory, the speed it's going, but yet they can't produce a picture of the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they'll I agree, Dan. It's insane. And then they'll send it and say, well, we couldn't monitor all of them. We couldn't, that one came out of the blue.
Yeah.
So you monitor the rest of them, but you can't, this one came out of the blue. So just, what is it? Can you not monitor them all? Can you monitor just the ones you choose, or can you just monitor the ones that you draw up in your backyard? On a canvas or Photoshop or whatever, is that the ones you can draw or whatever? There has to be, somebody needs to come forth with something. I mean, there's somebody out there that knows, but they're just spinning the lie to keep us filled with, media controlled, indoctrination. It's nothing to do with, giving them out, making us feel they don't want us to know anything. So they're just dumbing us down, spoon feeding us still most propaganda stuff I've ever seen in my life. For real. It has to be.
Look,
it's a wide scale.
The London Guardian that said, huge planet killer asteroid discovered and it's heading our way. What the diameter, now that they know exactly, the diameter is 1 to 2 kilometers. The space rock named 22, whatever, the AP7 crosses our orbit but has no chance of hitting Earth. Yeah.
Meanwhile, me and Dan's talking about alligators falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
And nobody's reporting. They'll report it, but then, you know what I'm saying?
You think that'll be headline news and Fox and CNN?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be like the second Crocodile Dundee. You know what I'm saying? Crocky. Whatever. We got us a big whopper here. Or whatever. It's coming in hot. We got us a 17 foot giant alligator getting ready to eat everybody. It's falling out the sky. But they're not doing that. It's insane where we're at, Dan. It's insane.
Oh, check this one out. 4 days ago, it says a 209-foot asteroid rushing toward Earth today, and we will come close to comfort. Why is it always too close to comfort all the time? Yeah, and they know exactly. How do you know it's 209 feet? How do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tremendous destructive power, it says. Its size and speed, and it's a tremendous destructive power. Yeah. Yeah.
And then meanwhile they're telling us to eat bugs and do these other things that are just ignorant to any aspect of understanding. But you mean to tell me that you can, like you're saying, Dan, they can narrow down the size and the weight and everything, but we can't even get chips like in a vehicle, or we can't even do something on the ground. We don't even know the waters in the ocean. We don't even know how to, I mean, heck, they don't even know how to build. Half the people were just completely dumbed down to automation. Yeah. We can't build anything. We can't do anything because they're not teaching anything. It's all being automated with the AI system, right? So it's just, how in the world can they measure all this? It's crazy.
Yeah. And look at this. They know exactly. It'll come close to the 7,349,467 kilometers, and it's astonishing speed of 32,727 kilometers per hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unreal, man. And we had a troll in the chat room, Mary Thollinder. She goes, stay in our bubbles. Yeah, you know what? It's like you're the one living in the bubble because, you just do what NASA's told. And she's like, oh, yeah. It's like, well, how do you argue with NASA science? Math. Well, first of all, it's not science, and it's stupidity from NASA. It really is. Man.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, Lord. Yeah, well, I'm not going to get in an argument with her. I mean, I'll pray. That just wants to get us into conflict. I don't want to get in conflict. I don't want to get in conflict with anybody. No. I actually want to talk about it. There has to be something. The deception is off the chart, and if unfortunately, some of these people they believe. And I'm not saying I look at all avenues of understanding here. I'm not just saying that, but I do believe in the Earth being biblical cosmology standpoint. But I will look at, like we talked about tonight, with the spacecrafts and stuff like that, if you want to call them that. I'll look at that about the way they levitate off the ground and stuff like that. There is truth to stuff that can hover off into the sky, because you can go back and look. We talked about in biblical accounts, the chariots of fire, to Ezekiel's wheel, stuff like that. The Zechariah 5, what we talked about in the Friday show. There's gateways, portals, whatever. There's all kinds of things that are into play, and the cover up is just we're defragmented. We don't understand. Like, we just, first thing that somebody tells us, we go and run and say it's true. We don't put any thought and we don't research it ourselves. We take off and run with it. And that's what we've been conditioned to do, unfortunately. And I'm not trying to be mean. We've all done it. I've done it, myself. So I would never get in an argument. When she said we can stay in her bubble, I pray I would, I would love to have a conversation. I wouldn't ever want to, and the main thing is on this channel, I know we've talked about some wild stuff on here tonight, is to cleave to the blood of the Lamb, the garment of Jesus. Regardless, if you tell us to stay in our bubble or not, that bubble is going to pop one day if you don't know Jesus.
Yep.
It ain't going to matter what we talked about, an asteroid falling from the sky or whatever, or alligator flying and hitting the windshield. If you don't have Jesus, it's not going to be good, in any shape or form. So I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to believe, Mary, if you want to, whatever you would believe, I can't force you. You know what I mean? So God bless you. So I just hope the Holy Spirit, I should say, just reaches out to you. That's all, and God bless you. So I know, and here's the thing, too. In your defense, Mary, and I can understand where you're coming from, too, because somebody that's coming straight from the world, like, tunes into something like this, they're like, wow, these guys are either wackos or there's something going on. You know what I mean? Because this is a bitter pill to swallow. And people in the chat room, too, understand this. So when somebody just discovers this stuff, this is a bitter pill to swallow. Because imagine we all been immersed into this false reality, right? And coming into something like this, you know what I mean? And then you're like, what the heck are they even talking about? You know what I mean? So we got to understand that perspective, because the worldly view when they're coming into something like this, into the truth, yeah, it's a shell shock. It's a culture shock. You know what I mean? So it's a big bitter pill to swallow. The red pill there, if you want to call it that. It's a big bitter pill to swallow. So we got to understand where she's coming from too. So Mary, if you're listening, I understand you, but do know, keep an open mind about it and pray about it. If you believe, and you'll see the truth. You know what I mean? So I can't, all I could do is show you the door. That's it. And you're the one that has to walk through it. But either way, God bless you. So and everybody in the chat room too, just understand that too, because these things. Remember when you first woke up? You know what I mean? Like, whoa! You like blew my mind. And I was defending the globe Earth. I mean, because I was into astronomy, but I still have my questions, whatever. But it took. There was one of the biggest mental blocks it took. Then I had to trust the point. Then when I read Genesis, I studied over and over again Genesis, and it was clear. And that block went away, you know what I mean? So it took a while for me to adjust to that, you know what I mean? And I was in the faith for how long, you know what I mean? So remember that. It's like these things are like eye-awakening things, so we all need to tread carefully, you know what I mean? Not everybody's going to believe what we believe and how we believe, whatever the case. And all you do is pray for them. That's it. You can tell them, and, once you tell them, the good thing is a watchman, right? God's watchman. Our job is to do this, right? It's to warn people, not to sit there and bash them over the head and try to smack them around. No, tell them. Say, and if they turn from their ways, that's great. You know what I mean? If they don't, their blood is not on your hands. You know what I mean? We did our job. We warned them, and if they perish from it, that's on their hands. But if we don't warn them, their blood is on our hands. You know what I mean? Plain and simple. That's when it talks about the watchman, that's our job. It was watchmen, all of us, So we told Mary, and all you could do is let it settle in her, and hopefully, she comes to the truth. That's all.
Amen. And then another thing too, real quick, I'll just throw this out here. Whenever I started looking into all this about 12 years ago, it's hard to take it. It's very hard, and it can really, like Dan's saying, it can really tear you up pretty bad emotionally. Like if you don't have anybody to talk to about it or anything, it's really hard on you. And then another thing, I want to ask a question. This is blowing my mind. Whenever the NASA director a couple years ago said that they lost the technology to go back to the moon, I just want to ask Miss Mary that. How in the world could you lose most valuable information ever known to so-called man when it's advancements of space, as far as space travel? How could you lose the technology that they put so much emphasis in and teaching into the academia? How could you lose the technology to go to the moon? I'm just throwing it out there. That's all I want to ask. That's all I want to ask. I mean, I'm not getting sarcastic. He admits it. He's like, yeah, we lost the technology to go back to the moon. Okay, how could you lose the technology? Who did you lose it to? Or how did you lose it?
Yeah.
Why would you, if it was so valuable to you, how could you lose something? I'm just saying, Dan. I'm just making a point. I mean, is that a logical question to ask? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
and
the
we
truth.
talk about NASA. Okay, it's supposed to be the know-all, be-all, whatever the case, right? That's what they persuade to be, right? And how they lose technology to go to the moon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll be backing it up. I'll be putting it on a hard copy.
Yeah.
I'll be writing it on a rock. I'll be typing it however I got to back it up on any type of documentation, physical, digital, whatever the shape or form is. I don't care. Write on anything. Carving into walls, whatever. You know what I'm saying, Dan? Come on now, because you'll never know. It's unreal, and to admit it and just to have it sarcastically come off your mouth. Are you just like lying about it? Are you like, why would he say that? I don't even know where that video is, but that is on record. He did say that. He did say that. The NASA director did say that. It's several years back. Said we lost the technology to go back to the moon. Why would you say that? There has to be a point of say, okay, you know what I mean? It's just crazy, Dan.
Kat DM in the chat, she said, Brian, they didn't lose it. They never had it to start with. But now
that's true.
They say they lost it. Yep.
Yeah, that's the true fact. Yep. Or they could have had something to do with, gates, like a gate travel, like ancient antediluvian portals to something shape or form that way. I agree with that, and that's what they might have lost. That's might be what they're referring to. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get in an argument. I I enjoy talking to have the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, any kind of, you know, that's you know, just and then just bring glory to the Lord. You know, that's.
And the thing is, guys, here's this was gonna work into these Bible verses here. And we're gonna work into Friday's show too. So this whole New World Order. So what they're doing is they're causing all this stuff you read. This is nothing. We got tons and tons and tons of stuff. This is nothing, like not even the tip of the spear of the articles and whatnot. We you know, could have talked about. We could be all right doing that, but their goal is to create chaos, confusion. And remember, God's not the author of confusion, right? And their chaos is the order out of chaos, right? No order seclorum, the New World order out of chaos. You know what I mean? And problem, reaction, solution. That's old Hegelian dialect. So they bring in their peaceful New World Order, right? But remember, it's not peaceful because the Bible talks about this. And this verse once again, 1 Thessalonians 5:3 says, "For when they shall say peace and safety," right now, all the leaders are calling for that, right? Peace and safety, peace and security, safety is the same thing. And they're calling for that, right? And they followed up with a New World Order. Then sudden destruction comes upon them as a woman with a child. You know what I mean? That's pregnant. You know, and they shall not escape. You know, it refers to as birth pains. You know what I mean? In other words, you know, birth pains comes. You got a little contraction here. Then all of a sudden it increases, it doubles, and it's quicker and it's less time apart until the baby's born. Yeah, we're in that stages right now, guys. And John 14:27 says, "Peace I leave you." Now, check this out, right? This is very relevant, right? This is the New World Order, the global elite, whatever you want to call them, right? The world elite, the United Nations, they promise peace and safety, peace and security, right? For their one world order, right? Their version of peace, but this is a different peace, right? Jesus says, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth." This is Jesus talking about these days, guys, like because the whole world's offering peace and security right now, the whole world. And he goes, "I leave the peace I give you, my peace I give it unto you, not as the world gives it to you, but I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." So he's saying, don't fear. You know what I mean? Because we know the Bible says there's no room in the kingdom of God for cowards. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid of the stuff. Because they're offering a fake peace. The United Nations and all that, the one world peace with the Pope and all that stuff, one world religion of peace, and a one world government, of peace. You know, that's not the same peace as Jesus. Remember that. That's a fake world peace. Jesus gives the real world peace. Well, not world peace, but peace within his people. And Philippians 4:7 says, "And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." And Genesis 3:15 says, and now this is where it all comes from, all of it. This is where it all started, right there. And it's when God confronted Adam, Eve, and the serpent, he says, "I will put enmity between the seed of the woman and between the seed of her seed. And it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise the heel." Talking about right here, I mean, when people say, well, Jesus and Satan or whatever is not mentioned in the Old Testament, well, it's right here. They're talking about the coming of Jesus, the Messiah, and the Antichrist. It's right there. Right from the get-go, Genesis chapter 3:15. You know what I mean? So that's, it's right there, man. It's crazy, man. And we got so many shows coming up, guys. I just want to give you a preview of so many shows we got coming up. We got, let me get to the list. We're going to be doing the one on the Kundalini and the New Age stuff, too. Because of the Kundalini spirit, and it's a New Age stuff too as well. But it's being used in churches today. It's used in high levels of yoga and those kind of forms of Buddhism and all that. But the Kundalini serpent spirit is a fake. We call it the counterfeit Holy Spirit that's being used by ministers and all that to so-called heal people. Or when they wave their hand, people go flying across the floor or whatever, or they're barking like dogs. It's idiocracy. It really is. And we got, we like to touch on these things out there because Ranker.com and all these publications come out, right? They have these morons who write articles, right? And you can clearly tell they don't know the Bible, right? And like we're gonna do a show soon, hopefully within the next few weeks. Another one, says hell's not mentioned. It's made up by the Catholic Church. It's not mentioned in the Old Text. I'm like, whoa. Obviously, you guys have never read the Bible because it's most certainly in the Old Testament. It's in the Torah. It's an ancient text, okay? And it's also in the Book of Enoch, the ancient Book of Enoch. It's in the New Testament. It's not made up by the Catholic Church. You know what I mean? And it's ridiculous. It's got another name for it, but hell is well all through the Bible. You know what I mean? And they tell you this thing because they want you to think that, oh, God, and this is what they'll say. Oh, God's not that merciful. Oh, I mean, he's merciful. He's not going to put somebody, so when you die, you just die and that's it. Nobody is in hell. It's like, well, you may have not read the Bible if you think that. You know what I mean? We like to debunk these things like the whole Lucifer's Jesus thing. We did that last week. We destroyed that. And but we got all kinds of shows coming up, man. And we got another giant show too, Giants in the News. And coming up this week here, Friday, we got Satan's New World Order and Spiritual Wickedness. We're gonna talk about some stuff, new stuff too. A lot of Elon Musk, Mark of the Beast type stuff. John Pound is from Nice TV. He's the host of the Midnight Ride. He's gonna be joining us. And next Friday is our annual Christmas show with David Carrico from FOJCRadio and the Midnight Ride as well. He's going to be joining us live as well next Friday. It's going to be awesome. So we got back-to-back. We're trying to get John Hall. So if you guys are in the chat room, guys, message John Hall. Say you got to come on the Spiritual Warfare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or we're going to send shocks to. We're going to send tornado shocks to his house.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have him on for sure.
Tell him we're calling him out, that Kentuckian.
Yeah, calling you out, boy. Yeah, remember that? Yeah. That was hilarious. Yeah.
It's coming up Friday, guys. Satan's New World Order and Spiritual Wickedness. So that's going to be pretty cool. And if guys like the show, we got a PayPal, Venmo, and CashApp. All the links are in the description, and also the Ko-fi site that's in the chat room there. And the best thing you can do is subscribe. So guys, I want to do this right here. So I'm going to put the link in the chat room. So if we could take just 2 minutes to do this, right? We're trying to build Brian's channel up, Visual Disturbance. He's going to be putting tons of new content on. He just got a new program, Streamlab, I think it is, to be able to do more videos like at an awesome rate too. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this in the chat room. So guys, if you just do this, right? You're not going to miss nothing, right? So I put the link in the chat, right? Click on that link. Just click on it now and hit subscribe, right? Then hit the back button. You go back here. You know what I mean? So we'll give you about 30 seconds here. Just do that. Just click on the link right there. And I know it takes like 30 seconds to delay here, but just click on that link right there. We just put out Visual Disturbance show. Let me put that out again because I think I didn't space it between the link. There you go. So that's Brian's channel right there, guys. So hit there right now. We'll wait. We're not going to say nothing. So go there, click on it, and just hit subscribe. Then hit the back button. It comes right back here again. So we'll give you a minute to do that. So we got, I don't know how many people in the chat room, whatever the case, are watching. 94 people, looks like is watching right now. So if you haven't subscribed to Brian's channel, please do so because we're trying to build this channel up because we need a lot of channels. We got a backup channel for this channel too because you never know when YouTube's going to shut us down. They shut our main channel down. We lost 20,000 subscribers going just like that. You know what I mean? So we got to have 2 or 3 steps ahead of the enemy, plain and simple. And that's his channel, guys, Visual Disturbance. So please subscribe to that if you haven't. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to nystv.org if you haven't. And you get a free subscription on me for 30 days, no obligation. Dan the Man's a promo code. All the instructions are in the description. So pretty cool stuff, man. So yeah, I think it's been a cool show.
Yeah, blessed to be here for sure.
Yeah. And don't worry, guys, we'll take your phone calls Friday. So we were going to do phone calls tonight, but it's running a little late, and I got to be in work for 11. So yeah, we'll take your phone calls Fridays. But guys, please go subscribe there.
Well, I appreciate anybody that comes to the channel too, subscribes to my channel. It means a lot to me for real. It really does. So I'm going to try to do some more interesting things, try some new things of trying to branch out and do multi-streaming. Like multi-streaming on different platforms at the exact same time. I'm going to try to integrate that into my channel so we could,
do you have
Rumble? Oh, no, I do not. That is a good question, but I do not.
Oh, all right.
I guess I need to then, don't I?
I like that, Bill O'Connell. I pity the fool that doesn't subscribe.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah. We'll
Oh,
send
bless
Mr.
him.
T, the milkman, to your house. If you don't subscribe, Brian's gonna come to your house with the milk truck and spray you
No.
with the milk.
Yeah, I can't drive, but yeah, I'll get somebody else to drive for me. We'll pull. Yeah,
We get to
pull
go with the
up.
diapers to drive
Oh no, don't go there, Dan. Anyway.
to go. Let's hunch over the wheel.
Oh man. Yeah, if you're just now tuning in the broadcast, welcome to Spiritual Warfare Wednesday. We're getting ready to turn this show off because we're getting ready to go off the Richter scale here and not going to be able to come back from the rabbit hole after we start talking about these controversial topics about my insane stories, but they was 100% factual information, but we're not going to talk about it on air.
Oh man, it was funny. I got a Rumble channel, guys. So, I got all my channels in the chat room too. So, if you go to TruthRadioShow.com, it has the links to everything. So, and also, guys, please remember that because we never know what YouTube's going to do. So, one day this channel, they could just shut it off just like that. You know what I mean? And so, we'll always go to TruthRadioShow.com. We'll have the link, exact link where we're broadcasting from and what we're going to be talking about and everything else. So, it'll be right there on the website. So just, you'll never miss the show if you go to truthradioshow.com. We always have the exact link where we're broadcasting from and the information as well. Because we got a backup YouTube channel. We got a Rumble channel and a Brighteon Channel. And so we're just trying to expand out everywhere, So, and you got anything else to talk about before you take off?
I believe that's it, Dan. Because I want to kind of hold everything for the Spiritual Warfare Friday show.
Yeah.
We can, that'd be really neat to add all that to the show on Friday. But this has been a really good broadcast. And I pray everybody has a lovely day and a really good rest of the week until we see everybody on Friday. And thanks for the love and support. Me and Dan really do appreciate it. And I appreciate it too, going to my channel. And thank you, Dan, for promote my channel, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
And Milt said she likes the sound effects when you tell stories. I'm the same way, man. Like me and my uncle talk, right? And I remember my ex-wife at the time. She goes, "Could you guys ever talk without making sound effects?" Because we'll have conversations, and my uncle's like, "We slammed into this thing, went BAM!" Making all these sound effects, and that's just how we talk, man. And I think Brian somehow related to me somehow. It's got to be somewhere in.
I didn't know everybody enjoyed that. I didn't know everybody enjoyed the sound effects. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. But and go check out we haven't got a link up yet, but go check out this Sunday coming. If everything goes well and the Lord allows it, we're going to be I'm going to be doing another FOJCRadio Sunday Night Live show. And we'll talk more about it on Friday night. I should have more information on it, but as far as link, hopefully I'll have a link by then. But I think I can't get a link until Saturday, but we'll be on there. It's going to be at 9. I think it's 9 o'clock my time, so 9 Eastern time, 9 p.m. I'll be on FOJC Radio Sunday Night Live, so that's going to be really interesting. That one's going to be a really good show, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And guys, I got the link for the show Friday, so it's on my channel anyway. But if you go there, it's Spiritual Warfare Friday show link. So if you want to go there, hit the notification bell or whatever the case. Even though YouTube doesn't most of the time notify you anyway, I don't know why they do that. But yeah, that's the link for the show. So, all right, guys. But yeah, like we should close in prayer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Heavenly Father, we come before you and we ask you, Yeshua Jesus, that you can forgive us our sins and our trespasses. And Heavenly Father, we ask you that all the information we told today, not to confuse people, not to get them afraid, but to wake them up and to let them know that you're in charge and these things must come to pass before you return. And, the bad stuff has to happen, like you say, before, the eternity with you, Lord. So we ask you to help Mary Thollinger here in the chat room. I don't know if she's still there, but we ask you to plant the seed in her, Lord, and let the Holy Spirit work through her. And we also ask you to help everybody here, just any health afflictions going on, any spiritual problems that they're dealing with, we ask you to help them, and myself and Brian as well, and our families. In your precious name, amen.
Amen. Yeah, and thanks to everybody that supported us tonight and donated. We're truly blessed.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So all right, guys, that being said, we'll see you Friday, 11 p.m. I'm sorry, it's got to be 11 p.m. We usually do 10 p.m., but we got stuff new. I'm a wrestler, so I'm wrestling early Friday night. So by the time we get back here, you know what I mean? So 11 p.m. Eastern on right here, truthradioshow.com. The link will be also. So I did post in the chat room, too. So God bless, shalom, and you are the resistance. Love you all.